Hey everyone out there, this is the Solitary GM. We're here with another episode of our Ruthless Heavens, Boundless Fate series of videos. In this one, we're going to discuss a play loop that I like to use in the game, and then we're going to play the game a bit. So we'll reconvene through the backstory and continue on from there. So that is what we are planning to do today. Again, this is a game by Alex Teeve with the Black Oath Entertainment, I believe. Entertainment, Black Oath something, Black Oath Games Entertainment. Yep, all those things. Good, got it mostly right. The website's Black Oath Games, and then the company is Black Oath Entertainment. There you know. So anyway, let's just jump right in. I don't really want to delay this anymore, so here we go. Here's the Boundless Fate play loop that I like to use. If you're real solo playing in a game that's a little open-ended, kind of like Ruthless Heavens, Boundless Fate is, it helps to have some structure to that. So as you're moving through the game and you get stuck, there's ways to get unstuck, I guess is a good way to put that, but to expand your story and move your adventure along. And this is a good way to do that. So let's just run through this right quick and then we'll get to adventuring. So obviously the first step is to establish a scene. You can use your character's location. You can use common sense. Just think about where you're at in your story. And think of what a good scene is. And then there's a few other things related to this we want to talk about. For instance, when you think of a scene, you should have a good idea of what closing the scene would entail. So how do you know when the scene is over? Because there's things that happen when the scene ends that you need to do. So you need to know what the end condition is for the scene. So make sure that you have that in your thoughts when you establish the scene. Next thing, if you're having troubles deciding what the scene is, you can use a surprise event. So there's that twist die that you roll at the beginning of your scene. You could, instead of rolling that event, you at that point you could roll it to establish your scene and kind of help define your scene from that. If you need some additional help, you can use the theme and action tables that are in the solo rules of Ruthless Heavens, Boundless Fate. Those are two D100 tables that we've looked at before. Those could help spur some thoughts and give you some ideas what you might want to establish as a scene. Personally, I would suggest you try to avoid using the theme and action tables and try not to rely on the surprise events either. Just get in the habit of using your intuition. Check where you're at in the story. You can read some of the background text of the setting in Ruthless Heavens, Boundless Fate, related to where you find yourself, and just come up with your own scene. It's good practice to expand your brain that way. So I would highly encourage you to try to always do it that way. But you can obviously get some help when you need. So once you've established the scene and you have some idea of what the closing scene is, then you should roll for the surprise event. I did add, if you use the surprise event to establish your scene, you might skip this roll. I guess you could still use it for another surprise event that's different from your scene, but you'd have to try to make sure it's a different one, or else it might be kind of hard to play that. Or you could just skip it. That'd be fine. But if you do go ahead and roll for it, and you do get an event, then you should roll for the event, or even better yet, choose the surprise event that matches where your character's at and makes the most sense for where you're at in the story. Usually, you can just pick one that would be, kind of helpful to moving the story along. That would be best to pick. So that's that. The next phase after you roll the surprise event is to ask some questions of the scene and the oracle. You don't always have to consult the oracle for every single question. You will have some intuition about the scene and what is going on around the character. So go ahead, just go ahead and go with those thoughts. You don't have to use the oracle for every single little detail. Is there a dog running down the street? Is the street paved with stones? Is the buildings made of wood? Is the sky blue today? Is there anybody on the street? I mean, you could go nuts with rolling on the oracle, and just you don't need to do that. You can describe the scene for the most part. You really want to use the oracle when there's an event or an action that's occurring, or a thing that could or could not be there, that's pertinent to the story or to the scene or to your characters, and you don't have a gut feeling on that, or you do, but you recognize that there's some wiggle room, and perhaps that you can think of some interesting aspects of your story, whether the answer is yes or no. So in those cases, that would be a good time to use the oracle. But for everything else, really just go with your intuition, or just make it up. Your game will flow a little bit faster, and it'll be more enjoyable. Um, so that's that. But you definitely want to ask some questions, about the NPCs in the area, the things that are happening around you, the location, the buildings. There's, objects that are sitting around, or material things that are in the area, crates or bottles, or furniture, or depends on your setting. Could be electronics. It could be tree, vegetation, whatever. Wherever you're at, there's going to be things around you that might be pertinent to your story. So make sure you address all of those things. Again, use your intuition to do that. Don't necessarily have to roll the oracle for all of them. If there is a surprise event, make sure you incorporate that into the question phase of what you're determining. So the surprise event may take a few more oracle rolls, because it's a surprise event. It may be not something you had planned on, so you might need a couple of rolls to help firm that up as to what that means in your story. So that might be more use of the oracle. And then the next step, once you've kind of detailed all that out, is just play using the game mechanics. So you can use the NPC reaction table if they're talking to NPC. You can use the combat rules if you're in combat. You can use, there's quite a few rules in here that we haven't even covered yet about gameplay. So there'll be some more videos about that, but yeah, you can use the game mechanics to further the story at that point. And then as you're playing the game, you may end up with some more questions that happen, which is fine. And I just say this 3 and 4 section here is kind of a little mini loop within the outer play loop. So while you're using the game mechanics, if you need to ask a question, go ahead, ask it. Use the result to extend, continue on in your playing of the game and using the game mechanics. Make a note of any characters or story arcs that come up as you're playing through the game mechanics, because we want to keep track of those. And then once you've exhausted everything that you can do in the game mechanics section, and you believe you've completed one of the story arcs, it could be the scene, or it could just be a story arc that occurred within the loop here. But if you close the story arc, then you want to come down here to the next step, where you have a close of a story arc, and it could be a scene. So a scene could be a story arc, or a story arc is a more defined, a more defined thing. So kind of like a rectangle is a certain thing, and a square is a rectangle, but it's also a special rectangle. We could think of a scene and story arc kind of the same way. The scene is the rectangle, the story arc is the square. So they're kind of the same thing, but you could have more than one story arc happen within a scene. And then when you close a story arc, it could be either the arc or the scene. Okay, I've probably ran that into the ground far enough. Next, when you close the story arc, you want to update, add, or remove any story arcs that have been discovered, and the one that you completed, maybe you might want to take it off. There's also characters that from the scene, any NPCs or other important characters that arrived during the scene. You want to add those to your list that you want to keep, and remove any that are no longer pertinent as well. So you want to do that, and then roll. I use a usage die to determine sector events. I might start with a D8 or a D6 even if I want to get some sector events happening more rapidly. If they're happening too rapidly, I could increase that to a D10 or a D12. So I'm going to use, I think, a D8 for that in this particular playthrough. If you get an event that's triggered, so again, the way those usage dies or step down dies work is we roll this until we get a 1 or a 2, so like a 1 there, and then we would switch to a D6, which I would get the purple D6 out, and we'd roll that till we get a 1 or a 2 as well, and then we would get the D4, and we would roll that until we get a 1 or a 2, and then if that happens, it triggers the event. So a little review of step down die or usage dies. If there's an event trigger, then roll for the sector event and process it. And then if that happens to create a story arc, go ahead and add that. If there's any characters that get added through processing the event, go ahead and add those to your list. And then additionally, is the main scene closed? So you could come down here and close the main scene, which would be the close of your story arc. You would do all these things, and then you would also do this, because this is only when the scene gets closed. So and you could still have some open arcs. So all of your arcs that you opened up in this particular scene don't have to be closed before you can close the scene. They can still be open. They may become irrelevant, some of them, as you play the game, and that's fine. But some of them will also help drive your story. So those are the things you want to keep track of and make sure you are paying attention to, because these are how you will not get stuck if you have a nice list of open story arcs. So if this main scene closed, then you should travel home using your teleport token, and you can also do the home management process. So that's roll for an event that may have happened, handle that event if there's anything that you need to do, and then you can build a building. Optionally, you may not have enough money to do so right away, so you probably won't build the building the first time you go home unless somehow you got a huge amount of funds, which could happen. But otherwise, you can't build the building until you have enough money. So that's optionally, and you can only build one building when you go to do that. And then if there's any other type of things you want to take care of in character meditations or anything like that, you can certainly do that at home. And then you can return back to wherever your next thing is that you'd like to pursue. So that will depend on what travel tokens you have. So if the only travel token you have to get out of here is the one back to Eros, then you're going back to Eros, and because that's your only choice. So there you go. If you've gathered a few others, though, you could go to any one of them. So there is that. And that's in the book. It does mention the teleport tokens are something sought after by the ascendants, so they can bop around the universe wherever they like to go more often. So that's that. That is the Ruthless Heavens Boundless Fate play loop that I like to use. So we'll put that aside and continue on. Again, here's our character, Arcturic Blowguard. He's age 25. He's an Ecosian Thaumaturge. He's a Talonsung ancestry. His lineage is Mind. We just started playing, so we're rank initiate in our character, our soul, and our lineage level. And we have added everything else related to our character up to this point. So let's continue on. So I did cover his backstory in an earlier video, but not everyone may have watched that. And just for continuity, I'm just going to read through that again, and then we're going to continue on where we had the cliffhanger. So here we go. Backstory. As a youngster, I enjoyed the freedom of nature and the wilderness of my home planet, Moraria, where I learned valuable skills for later in life, skills such as survival in the wilderness, tracking, hiding, and adapting to changing conditions. I spent many days singing songs, dancing with butterflies and fairies. I practiced and preserved the customs of my Talon-slung ancestry. Then one day things changed. The Ruthless Heavens arrived and imposed the path of ascendancy on Moraria while I was out in the wilderness. I knew something had changed right away when a strange sensation hit me and weird tattoos appeared on my skin. They glowed at first, but diminished over time. One day, not soon after this, I fell out of a tree, and one of those tattoos activated, the one that looked like a silver feather. I floated safely to the ground. As I began to experiment and discover my new powers, I quickly rose above my peers, defeated my foes, gained followers, and one day it was time to see the Nulurian sector, to venture out and claim my fate. The Ruthless Heavens acknowledged my success and provided me a teleport token to Yaros, which I excitedly and immediately invoked. A flash of bright blue light and silence for a few seconds. My vision blurs and I feel weightless. Then my feet touch down, and at first there are sounds, thousands of voices, and a background rumble of random noises all jumbled together. As my vision begins to clear, I see many faces, bodies, all around me. Slowly, the field of vision expands, and buildings and towers come into view. Wooden buildings with cloth draped over openings, brightly colored and strangely welcoming, despite the clearly urban buildup. A large departure from my woods and open lands. I begin to notice the individuals closest to me, and here is where we will have our first roll. So, and establish our scene as well. So we have just arrived in Eros among a crowd, and we're going to try to figure out from here where we go or what we do. So to start with that, I say our scene is we've arrived in Eros, and our scene is to complete the first mission or trial, whichever one we do first. So when that is completed, we'll have completed our scene. So that is my ending condition. I just got here, so it feels like that's probably our first goal, and I don't need to do anything else. I need to roll for a surprise on the twist die, which is a d6, and we just need 1, and we get a 2, so there's no surprise. So next, I'm going to see if these people that are closest to me, do I notice anyone in particular, or does someone notice me first and approach me? I thought those might be the two possible scenarios. And I feel like I'm a little unsure of where I'm at. It's more likely, a little more likely someone's going to notice me and approach me before, I will approach someone else. It may take me a bit to get brave enough to do that. So let's see if I get brave enough to approach someone, or does someone approach me? Here we go. Oh, I get a 1. So I did execute the token fearlessly, excitedly, and yeah. So I guess I didn't feel too out of sorts. I'm going to go ahead and approach someone. So I have a little D10 table here that I've made of who it is that we might run into. So on a 1 to 4 on the D10, it's going to be an NPC greeter for the tower. So they're going to give us, some information that we need, likely, if we run into them. And that seems like the most likely person that I will see. So that is why it's 40% of the roll. 30% of the roll is a group of adventurers that happen to be walking by, as who I'm going to notice and try to talk to. And then each of these have a 10% chance. Another ascendant could be nearby. I could try to talk to him. An interesting NPC, which I pull from the table in the book on page 246. So if we get this, role, then we'll look in the book. And then the other option is a patron. Perhaps a patron is the person we see a person that looks interesting. We approach them. We say hey, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I was just out here looking for a young chap to do a mission for me." So that would be a funny way. I would expect them to notice me more than me notice them, but maybe I could accidentally run into them. And that means we're going to generate a mission. And that is over on page 199 in the book. And then that would alter the path of all of what is planned. And so we would be flying by the seat of our pants on that one. But it could happen. Who knows? And then we have some NPC reaction roles that we will need to do and a loop of it involved in that I've generated for that. So let's go ahead and roll our D10, see what we get. We get a 3. So we notice very nicely right off the bat the NPC greeter for the tower. So I have some modifiers here to roll based on the reaction roll that we need to do. And I did not put the page number for that either. So we'll find that right quick. I do know where that's at. It's in somewhere past 159. It's right about here. Found it. Okay. So we are going to approach the NPC greeter. Let's see how they react to us. So I have some rolls here. I give a +1 if they noticed us first. They didn't, so we don't get that +1. The greeter, their job is to greet incoming ascendants. So I gave that a +4. I feel like that is pretty good. They should be looking for us, but unless they're having a bad day. So let's see what their initial disposition is for the day. So that is this chart right up here on page 166. We get a 5, which is indifferent. So yep, it's just it's a weekday. They've been here since Monday, and yep, here we are. Telling people the same thing over and over again. It's not very exciting, but that is their job. All right, so let's see with our +4, what our reaction is. Get a 6, +4 is 10. So 10 is immediately friendly. So that was easy. I don't think we need to roll anything else. I think by definition, the greeter is here to give us information. So in whatever way they do that. So we walk up to the greeter. It is a we'll say it's a female, human-ish type, and we'll say yes. I'm who am I? I'm Arcturic Blowguard. I've just arrived in Eros. I'm not sure where to go. And the security, oh well, welcome to Eros. It's wonderful to have you here. You say you just arrived? Did the Ruthless Heavens send you over here with a teleport token, perhaps? Yes. Yeah. How did you know? Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Yes. Oh well, good. The tower right behind me. You just go right in there. There's some screens and some kiosks right around the edge. You can just go up to one of those. They will scan you, and you should bring up your information. And then the things that are available to you for you to pick from will be listed right there. And will you need lodging? I suppose I hadn't thought of that. Yes, right. I suppose at some point later this evening that would be good. Okay, well, the Starlight Inn is just over there. You just look behind you. That green cloth over there. That on that build. Yeah, no, not that one. Right, that one over there. Good, perfect. That is the Starlight Inn. You can check in there, and they should have a room reasonably priced for anyone who needs lodging. So, is there anything else I can help you with? No, I think I'm good. I'll just go into the tower, and see what I can find to do. Yes. Well, thank you. This has been super informative. Okay. All right, so that is easy. In our loop here, I said we are going to have an NPC interaction, and if we failed to get a mission or information to go to the tower, we would need to roll an int check to notice the tower to go in by myself. And if I failed the int check, then I would just start over at step one. I would find another NPC perhaps, but we skipped all of that because we got the NPC greeter. Our interaction gave us the information to the tower. We're in. So let's move to the tower. So we begin to walk in towards the tower. As we walk in, I see there are bodies everywhere inside, moving, standing. It's just chaos in here. There's barely room to navigate through them. I begin to slowly make my way in, pushing between this individual and seeing a little space open, and I move into it real quick. And as I'm doing this, though, I see there's screens around the room showing various bits of information, and there's also, as the greeter told me, there's kiosks that surround the full circumference of the interior of the tower. So nice. I began to make my way over to one of the open kiosks. It takes me a couple of minutes to get through the room, but I do eventually get over there. Yep, I didn't need to do my perception check to see if I understood what the kiosks were for because I got all the information I needed from the greeter. So we get to speed run this part. Awesome. But if we didn't, these other things would have to come into play. So I move up to the front to the kiosk. I stand in front of it, and the screen changes from what is the default screen that is there for the guiding tower. It probably has the emblem of the Ruthless Heavens on there, just for, and maybe Eros is a symbol, whatever that might be, there on the screen. But as soon as I stand up, that goes away, and these words appear: "Scanning aura. Please wait." So I wait, and then a few seconds later, pretty quickly, actually, surprisingly, I'm not sure why this is so fast. It's an amazing piece of well, it's not technology because the Ruthless Heavens doesn't like technology. So this is something else operating this for sure. Anyway, a few seconds later, I see a message: "Welcome, Arctic Blowguard." Oh, that's me. Wow, it worked. Okay, nice. And then there's a list of trials, hunting grounds, and divine decrees that are shown. And in my case, just the titles. And there's a little disclaimer that reads, "There's no record of your completion of the test trial being completed." And underneath that, I see one option that I can choose. And it says Erakos the Forge. And I spend a few minutes just making sure I didn't miss anything. But yeah, it looks like those options are all empty. Nothing happens when I press on them. And that no record of me completing apparently the first thing. I guess this is what we do to prove that we are able and to accomplish this and not feeble. So as an ascendant, this is what we'll do. This seems to be the path the Ruthless Heavens has put me on. So let's forge ahead. Not to play on words, but yes, Erakos the Forge. Here we come. So I select that one entry, and a teleport token drops into the slot. I reach in and pull it out, looking it over. It's different from the token to my homeworld or the one that I got to Eros. But this one is red, and it has single use stamped around the circumference of the token, all the way around it. If I was good, I would draw a picture of it, but yeah, I'm not that gifted with my drawing. Maybe we'll try it sometime in a future video with something that makes sense. But anyway, that is that. So I check my gear, make sure I have everything I need, make sure I know where everything is. I feel like I'm set for this, whatever this is that I'm about to embark on, and I take a deep breath, and I invoke the token. All right, so let's move on into the forge. Again, a similar feeling of weightlessness and flashing lights, and shortly thereafter I find myself inside a dark tunnel. I look behind me and it's just rock. So the only direction it appears that I can move is forward, which looks to be like a long pathway, sloped slightly down. So I begin walking. And as I descend down the sloped path, I notice the temperature is slowly rising. As I look in the walls, I also see various markings and runes as I descend. I can't really make any heads or tails of them, but apparently those mean something. So I kind of study them as I go down, see if I can make any heads or tails of them. It takes me about 25 minutes to walk down this path or so. And before I see anything other than the path and the runes. But after about 25 minutes, I do see what appears to be the end of the tunnel, perhaps. It looks like there's a door or some metal barrier of some kind up ahead. And occasionally there's little flashes of light that appear around the edges of the door. So that is a bit troubling. But I go ahead. I can only go forward. So I walk the remaining 200 or 300 meters to the door. And when I arrive at the door, there's an inscription that says, "May you pass through reforged and reborn." And I tentatively push the door open and look in. It's a large chamber, very large. It's hot in here. I feel heat escaping into the tunnel. I study the chamber for a few minutes. I see something in the distance, and just as I start to step in, a blast of steam and metal careens off the wall near my head. So I pause. Just a moment, and then I sprint ahead. The heat hits me like a blast, and I realize I might be overcome by heat if I run, so I slow down to a walk. And now we're going to set up the furnace right quick. I've already determined that it's 1,680 meters across based on my movement speed. And I did a video on how I calculated this. You can check that out. I will link to that in the description. So we need to roll percentage because we want to see how far away it is until we interact with the construct. We roll percentage dice for that, and I get 26. So he's pretty close. So we need to find out what 26% of 1680 is. And that is 437, about rounded. So 437 meters away. We sprinted for about half a minute, so that's 36 meters. And then we're going to walk another 6 meters the other half of that minute. So that's 42 meters in the first minute. So that puts us 12 meters ahead of things. Like at 5 minutes, we'll be at 360. We'll be 12 meters further. So we'll be at 372 meters. And the movement speed of the construct is 10 if we look him up in the book. So and my movement speed is 12. So right off we can see I can move faster than him, and we're going to make use of that. You're going to see in just a minute. So we start walking in, and after we've walked about 5 minutes, we're at 372 meters, and he is at 3, because he's able to move 50 meters in that 5 minutes. So he is at 337, 80, 13 more, so 87. I think that's right. My math is going slow. If I add 5, that's right. So he's at 387 meters. So we are pretty close right off the bat here. So we're 15 meters apart. So I take one look at him and I decide, do I want to fight him? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I'm looking at how fast he's moving compared to me, and I think I can outrun him, actually. So I go ahead and sprint ahead and do a little jog around him and get on the other side of him. So I'll sprint for, I mean, if I sprint for 1 minute, that's another 72 meters I will go, and he will go. Oops, he goes more than 50 meters. Let's back this up just a bit. Let's back this up just a bit. So he goes 60 meters in 1 minute. And we went, if we go 5 minutes, that is 300 meters. So we're going to meet him before we get to this step. So that is, so we'll just say somewhere between the start and 372 meters, we're gonna run into this construct, and I'm just gonna run. So at whatever point I'm at, I can move 72 meters to his 60 meters. So I will run at him, and then so if he's here, for instance, I'll kind of run, and then I'll jog this way, and he'll come this way, and I will jog around him, and he'll kind of turn, and I will jog that way, and then he will turn. And now, as you can see, I am now ahead of him. I can stop jogging because I'm going to move faster than him by 12 meters every minute. So that's how we're gonna avoid the construct. So because we ran again, let's say we ran for 2 minutes. So that's 70, that's 144 meters. Because we run at double our 12, so we doubled the 72 per minute. If we ran for, that's 288 meters we covered in 2 minutes. So at some point during the running, because we started at some point of this, we are going to incorporate this thing that happens in 5 minutes. So I believe that is a reflex save to avoid getting hit by the molten fire and blast. And we do a reflex save by rolling a d20, and my reflex is 0, and they gave us a target number of 12 to beat in this game. So let's roll and see if we avoid the fire. We get a 14, so we avoid it. So we don't get hit by the fire on this one. So we continue walking. When 10 minutes goes by, let's just do a ruling of, we were 72 ahead. We added another 288. So we had to go jog around. So let's add 72 to that. 10, 1, 0, 1, 300. Yep. Nope. That's a 7. 16. Okay, so 8 and 2 is 10. 16, 17. 370. That sounds more right. But we're going to be more like 350, I think, because we had to go around. So we add 350 to this. So that is 1,000. 1,070. So we're almost to where we would have been at 50 meters. All right, so we're at the 10-minute meter mark. We're at 1,070 meters now that we ran a little bit, and we are now back to walking. So we need to roll for the heat check. The heat check is a fortitude save. Again, we have 0 bonus on that. So let's see if we are overcome by heat. We get a 5, so we are. So heat does us dirty. I believe that gives us a d6 of heat damage. Let's just go verify back here. It's going to be right here on this page. make a standard fortitude saving every 10 minutes, or take D4 points of fire damage from the heat. And we are not wearing heavy clothing or armor, so we don't take a -4 penalty on our saves. And we have to avoid getting hit by the steam as well. So let's do our D4 damage. Is 1. See the 1 on the top there. So we take 1. I'll just make a list here. This is our damage. And then do we get hit by the molten lava? We get a 6, so we do. That is a D6. And we take 4 from that. And then there's a 50% chance we caught on fire when that happens. We got a 52, so that means we do. And we take another point of damage. I believe the rules say that would be 5, but I'm going to overrule that so that we survive for the sake of the video. And we're going to take a point of damage for that. And then we're going to spend the next round putting out the fire so we don't move from this. So that moves us back 72 from our 350 ahead. So we'll take 72. Oh no, standard action is 10 seconds. So that's 12. That's 12 back. So that is 338. We're ahead now. All right. So we continue on walking. We add 338 to the 1080. 338 to the 1080. And we're now at 13, 14, 11, 18. And we're on not to 1680, so we'll go ahead and roll for our reflex save here. Get a 17, so we avoid it that time. That's good. And then we will move on to the next checkpoint is at 1440. That's be at 20 minutes. Instead of at 1440, we're going to be 338 further. So we're at 8771, and that is more than 1680. So we are now out. So before we get to this check, we are out of the furnace. We escaped with a massive 5 points of damage, and some of our stuff got burnt. So that is as half of our damage. So we're down to 5. And then good thing is the next rooms are a little bit less brutal, so we should be okay. So that is the forge. Are we on time? 43 minutes. I think we'll do one more room at least. As I step out of the furnace and into the next chamber, after opening the iron door, the next chamber is dominated by a large statue in the middle of the room, and the statue is a hooded figure. His eyes are hidden, and his hands hold a book, and his other hand holds a lantern. And it's the lantern that casts the light within the chamber. I notice the walls are filled with books as well. Shortly after I enter, a voice emits from the statue. Answer 5 riddles to continue. You may use the library for research. Just don't spend too much time locating your answer. First question. And we'll ask the questions in just a minute. The way you answer questions is it's a standard int check, so a target number 12 for answers. We could spend up to 1 hour of research to get a +1. We can't spend more than 5 hours of research in total. If we do, then the statue is going to issue D10 psychic damage per hour, because every hour we spend researching diminishes the light from the tower. So after 5 hours, it's starting to get pretty dark in here. And for every right answer, we get 10 radians. So here we go. So he says, first question, and he asks, who was Tharon Govel? And, we think about it. And our int, if we look at our character sheet, our int modifier is +3. So we're going to get a +3 on our rolls in this case. All right, Theron Govel. Let me think for just a moment. And I got a 17. So yes. Oh yes, Theron Govel. Yeah, I know all about this guy. And I give him a nice dissertation on who Theron Govel is. And the statue says correct. That is correct. Good job. That's one correct answer. So that is 10 radiance. And then he says, all right, next question. What is the purple Gaia? I think purple Gaia. Sounds familiar. I think yes. Yep, I got a 22. Yes, the purple Gaia. I did a research paper on that back in my hometown. Easy peasy. We explain in great detail the purple Gaia and what it is. So he says yes. Well, that's a great answer. That is correct. I get another 10 radiance, and I've now answered 2 out of 2. So this is looking good. Next question, the statue says, what is Clan and Co. known for? Yes, Clan and Co. I think maybe I know that. Is he? Are they known for the Clone Wars when they partnered up with the engineers and did no, oh nope. No, sorry, that answer is wrong. That is not the right answer. Okay. All right, well, these are getting a little harder. Let me try one more. Okay. The next question is, where is Thalikos? Thalikos. I think I know where Thalikos is. Yes, I've heard of Thalikos. I haven't been there, but I do know where it is. I can find it on a map, and I will explain whereabouts Thalikos is. And he says that is correct. Good job. That is 3 answers correct. Oh, good. Whew. All right. Next question. Which one is the 7th gate in the training method of Materluia? 7th gate. I think I know the 7th gate. Yeah, I get an 18. Yes, the 7th gate in the training method. Oh, Materluia, his training method. Right. It just came to me. The 7th gate. Well, that is the training method where you center and focus. And that is his 7th gate. Center and focus. And the statue says, correct. Good job. That is correct. So that's another 10 radius. You have answered 4 questions correctly. So you just need one more. Here we go. They're going to get a little harder. Here's the next question. How does one activate the perennial ether pathway? I'm thinking about that one for a moment. Perennial ether pathway. And I get a 12 exactly. So I get this one right. So yes, I explain how we activate the perennial ether pathway. My lineage of mind helped to my study of that helped to give me some knowledge of that. So there we go. That is my 5th correct guess. So we're going to get 10 radiance for that. And the way I like to play this is if we get 5 and there's more questions, we can go ahead and ask them and collect 10 radiance for each right answer. So it's 10 questions, whether you get them all right or wrong or whatever. So here we go. Question number 7. Next question. Why did the War of the Black Fox start? Think about that for a moment. The Black Fox. The War of the Black Fox. Yes. That is. There was a trade war between the Black Fox gang and the other gang faction, and they just got into a big battle. Isn't that yes, correct, very good. You are correct. Um, I'll just make note in the book there is the answers to these questions that Alex has written out. They may they may not be the answers that I'm giving. I'm just ad-libbing a bit. So you play this however you like. If you want to read his answers are good. I would read them at least. But you know, I'm just kind of ad-libbing to make this a little entertaining. Next question: how many essence nodes does a humanoid body possess? How many essence nodes does a human body? What? What is an essence node? I don't have a clue on this one. I, man, that that actually hurts the brain to even think about. Yeah, that is. I'm sorry, that's not the right answer. Yes, clearly. Okay. Um, in fact, I got a 1 on that roll, so I'm going to impose myself a -1 penalty on the next roll because yeah, that was, that hurt my brain a little bit. Um, which is the best method to train one's resonance? So we only get a +2 on this roll. Um, yeah, I think I know that one. The training the resonance, and we get still made it. Yes, the best method to train one's resonance is to use the seventh gate of the training method of Materluia. You need to center and focus, and then you need to think of a perfect sine wave and the kind of resonance that that will provide. And that is the best way to train your resonance. Yes, that is it. That goes correct. No, you're really good at these. Good job. Right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, correct. Last question, number 10. Here you go. What is a Rocco? Oh, I should know this one. I think I know this one. Yeah, I think I do. I will go ahead and tell you that a Rocco is is a type of rock that you can find on the surface of the R-Rock planet, and it is only found there. That is what a Rocco is. And the statue goes, nope, no, not even close. That is, you are way off. Nope, you should go back to the studies of your books because that is not what a Rocco is. So you got 6 questions right, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 questions right. So 7 questions correct. And we collect 70 radiance. And if we remember from the book, we need to meditate when we get our radiance. So I'm going to, because there's no time limit to go through the forge, you can take as much time as you need. You can exit it whenever you want, but you want to try to finish it. Trust me. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and spend an hour and meditate. So we're going to do the meditation roll, which we have covered, and that is in the book here. Other other rules somewhere. I don't remember offhand. We'll find it shortly. Well, we're resting for an hour, so we're going to take up some time looking in the book for the meditation rules while we take that hour off to rest. Other rules 137. So that's it somewhere in this section. That much I know. And we have alchemy and absent players and blessings and competence rating and cooking and hunting and harvesting is all these pages. And meditation. In order to properly meditate, a meditation check is required. Make a standard SPI check and determine the depth of your meditation. So let's do an SPI check. I have a +5 on my SPI right there. by the way I built this character, so should be able to do this. I get a 15 plus 5 is 20. That's not a critical success because I didn't roll a natural 20, so it's just a success. So I enter a state of calmness, correctly assimilating all the recent experience. So I have assimilated after the hour the 70 radiance that I have found. So radiance is somewhere on my, here it is, layer sheet. So we have 70 radiance at this point. Awesome. Okay. So that is the forge, and then we are at. I think we're at a good time to stop for this video. So I hope you've enjoyed this sample playthrough. The next room we come to is a hall of mirrors. So stay tuned for that. I will show you how I set up the hall of mirrors for this particular trial, because I do it probably a little different than the rules leave it a little open-ended. So I took some liberties when I do that room, just to help me get through it. And with that, I think that's all there is. Thank you everybody for sticking with me and watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing. I like interacting with you in the comments. I've had some excellent comments. In fact, I got a new one today that was really nice. So if you have any questions or comments or questions about the game, or questions about or if you saw that I didn't play something right, please let me know. I think I've done mostly correct. I just fudged one damage roll so that I could continue on because for the video. But other than that, I think everything is kosher. So if you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and until next time, see ya.